Hey guys, welcome back to iNVision Prototypes. I'm Nick. In front of me here, I've got the rear cosmetic panel that covers up the rear speaker deck, the area behind the seats up on top there. We have to finalize this by installing some speaker grills. Now I'm going to show you two different ways that we can potentially install these grills. The first way, it'll look okay. The second way, it'll really make this panel pop. Before I pull this panel out, I kind of want to do kind of a design exercise using this panel. And before pulling this panel out, I kind of quickly laid out a location, a rough location for these grills that might work. And this is the first option. And as you can see, they look stuck on the panel. Yeah, I get it. They're sitting on the panel, haha. But by stuck on, I mean they look like an afterthought. And they look okay, they're functional, but it doesn't look that great. What we have to do is rearrange these in such a way that they look as if they were meant to be there. And what better feature to use than the rear window? These curvatures have a nice rounded edge to them. They kind of match the curvature of the rear window. Now, you might not be able to see it up there, but I did pull a template off that rear window, and we can lay this out on the panel. Nothing's measured yet, we're just laying things out. Flip these from side to side, like so, and kind of like that, and there you go. Now, doesn't that look, there we go. Doesn't that look a lot better? Now, we're still working on this, bear with me. Around this outside edge, we're going to take and raise this white area upward, giving it an accented look. And this will kind of fade off into here, but at this point through here, there'll be an offset, perhaps 1/4 inch or so. So then when this is all wrapped with leather in the end, you'll have this little raised area in the middle for the two speakers. And once we're done, it'll look as though these two grills were always meant to be in this location versus stuck in the corner somewhere. We're going to start by outlining this outside edge, putting it through the tipping wheel, and then once we're done that and I'm happy with everything, then we can take and cut the holes for the grills. These two grills are actually Mustang components. They came out of the donor Mustang. Okay, so now that we have the perimeter outlined, put that there. I'm going to take and lay out these grills here based on the marks I had earlier. Okay. Before doing any of this in real time, I did a quick sketch on paper just to see how it would look. But now that we're actually laying out the actual pieces, I'm physically handling them, I can see the different tapers on them. This is when we're dialing in the final look for this panel. So what I'm going to do is trace this grill, like so. Now, if we cut this hole out to this dimension here, we're going to have a serious problem because the grill, I want to check something here, the grill will fall right through the hole, and we don't want that. So we're going to have to take and subtract a little bit of material from that perimeter by using masking tape. This panel will be covered with some probably 1/4 inch foam and then wrapped in leather. It'll give a nice feeling to it, and these grills will sink into that foam, allowing them to kind of sit flush with the top surface. So I think that's it in terms of layout. I want to correct one little thing over here before we're rolling this. And yes, I realize this template is upside down, but this side had a bit of a flat spot that I wanted to correct. That wasn't there on that side. So there we go. Done. So that's going to look really good versus having them in the corners. At least I think it will. So let's go and give this a bit of pre-stretch in the wheel, and then we'll go to the tipping wheel and roll this out. Okay, so I give this a little bit of pre-stretch, and right now I'm just going to tip this panel up, and then as we're rolling it, bring the pressure down onto it to create that little step. I'm kind of holding my breath because I don't want to mess it up. Now for the tricky part. Oops, sorry about that. Harder than it looks. Because you need to follow that line precisely. And I'm just fading it off as we approach the backside. Okay, got a little bit of a ripple right there. Have to plenish that out, but I think we're going to pass this through one more time. The pre-stretch was just enough. We haven't cavitated anything too severely yet, so it's should be okay. By pre-stretch, I just mean I wheeled this area just a little bit with a high crown anvil, just to stretch the panel before we do this. Okay. If you can get the first pass in nice and straight, subsequent passes are a lot easier. There we go. Clean that up. Okay, so I did a little bit of plenishing to clean this up. I didn't give it enough pre-stretch, and you can see it kind of distorted a little bit. So I plenished it out, cleaned it up, and now we can move ahead with these grills here. So I'm going to use some 1/4-inch tape, step in, and it's good. we go. I pre-measured all this earlier, and it was 1/4 inch we had to move in. I'm giving myself the thickness of a Sharpie, which is, well, this one's worn, so it's about 1/8 of an inch. And then we'll start fitting the grills from there. It's always better to have a slightly smaller hole and work your way out than having a hole too big and then try to find a way to create more material. All right, so with that done, we can pull the tape. That, and we can start making some holes. Didn't bother wiping off the old ones because just want you to compare which way, you know, somebody might actually like them there. I don't know, but to me that looks a lot better. And we'll probably put a little logo or an emblem there and call it a day. But for now, I'll cut these out. I'm going to use a step bit to make the first holes, so that when we use the zip blade, we don't end up cutting in and creating a square hole. Got the grills. Let's see if we made them too small or too big. They have little clips on the back side. Now, when this gets wrapped in leather, it'll get wrapped around this hole. So we also have to make sure we have enough room for that. But for now, first step is to get this to snap in. And okay, our holes are too small. And that's good. I don't mind that. You see that Sharpie line that I had there? That was over and above the 1/4 inch that I added, so that can be trimmed away safely. Okay, that's good. And we won't run out of material, so good. Let's take the snips, cut around these holes, and enlarge them just a little bit. This is good. Perfect. We have a little bit of movement for the leather, to allow for the leather, and that's it. So we'll clean this up in a minute, wipe everything down, and wrap up this panel. Bingo. And we have a little bit of movement. So that's going to be it. I'm going to wipe all this off, clean it up. Now you see how this is sitting up a little bit high? When we take the leather, wrap it around, this will get sucked down into the foam. We'll have to create a bit of a seat for it, but this will sit down into the foam, and we'll have a nice level top on this. put these in a safe spot. Okay, a little bit of lacquer thinner, take off the Sharpie, clean things up here. I want to clean it up with a hammer and dolly a little bit. Good, good. Okay, that's it. It's feeling really good. Let's snap these grills in and see how that looks. Should just pop right in, look at that. We have just enough room so when it gets wrapped later on, we'll have just the right amount of tension on this. Right on, look at that. Okay, and there we have the rear deck. Now, it's simple. Not too much going on, but it's just enough to give it continuity between the interior and the exterior, being the rear window. So, hope you enjoyed this episode. Really appreciate you guys watching, and see you guys next time. Take care. One more thing before you go. Keep an eye out for the episode when we take these panels and mock them up inside the car. This panel still needs the ends trimmed up just a little bit. It's a little bit tight, especially if you wrap it with leather. And the two end panels need to be finished. A little more resin work on those, door panels. And then we'll get the dash, everything fit together inside the car. You guys get a chance to see how everything looks all together. See you later.